Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Stuttering in Silence. Gavin, how are you today, my friend?
Great, man. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good.
It's good to hear, man.
We are recording 2 episodes in one night.
Are we?
No.
Damn. I'm not even really here right now.
What? Why?
I'm a figment of your imagination.
Was the car crash not my fault?
It wasn't your fault.
Anyways, he is here. He's alive.
No.
But what?
Not inside.
Gavin, what would you say that we are? Because I know we are live. How? How do you get it every week when I do it? But then I can't like. All right.
Because I have what you would call
Intuition.
grace.
Who's Grace?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyways, Gavin, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about how we would want, or how we want, children,
Young men,
singular, but 2. We were talking about how we want them to kind of like the world we would like to see them grow up in,
Sure.
and how we'd like how we're going to try to raise them and bring them from little sprouts, little bean sprouts, up to bigger bean sprouts.
So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
We'll hit it for the hard question first.
Okay. Yep. Hit me.
You have Billy, and I guess Billy's a girl's name, so you have Billy and Billy.
Okay.
Right? And
I'm liking this.
what?
I'm liking this.
They're growing up, but they're 6. You're sitting there, you're thinking that you're there with your wife.
Okay.
And you're like, I want this for my child. So, what do you envision you could have happen for your child in the near future? Let's say 5 years. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
What would you like to see for your children to live with?
I would like to see things, in the world get a little less crazy. Not saying it's got to, and like the world's always going to be crazy, but I mean, things kind of die down a little bit, I think.
Crazy.
That was crazy.
What you were saying.
Anyway, I feel like I want to see them. I want to see everything kind of die down a little bit.
Yeah.
And I would really like to see, like schools kind of die down and like with their like super aggressive one way or the other.
Yeah.
Like I feel like in schools right now, it's like you're either super like, LGBTQ plus, or super like you can do what you want and you're a human and like you can whatever.
Yeah, blue or red. Yeah.
Or super conservative, super like basically a Bible thumper.
Yeah.
I guess. Which I don't want it to be in either scenario.
Yeah.
I want it to be what kind of like how it was when I went to school. A little bit more of a mix.
Yeah.
What about you?
So for me, I kind of would be in the same boat. I want them to grow up, and let's say they're 12 years old.
Okay.
Oh, we'll say 14. They'll be starting high school. I want them to have the full scope of what learning is. Right.
Right.
I don't want the right or left. I want this would happen in 1850.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happened. I want there to be, let them decide for themselves and just teach the subjects. When they're, growing up, I want things to die down because I think there is a lot of division nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when it comes down to it, it's like I'd rather them see a country that is, in my opinion, still one of the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
See that, where I can sit next to whoever from the street and we understand that we're both American.
Yeah.
That's what I like to say.
So, what kind of? Let me ask you this question. What kind of hard hitting question? What kind of dad do you want to be? What kind of a father figure? What kind of a role model do you want to set for these youngins?
So there's 3 types of quote unquote like leaders or parents or whatever it is. Dictator, like kind of like a dictator, authoritative, and I forget the third one, but it's more like a submissive kind of role.
Yeah.
Definitely authoritative, or authoritative, where it's like these are the rules, these are the boundaries, you gotta understand this.
Yeah.
But still have the room where it's like, hey, you want to go play Fortnite together? Word, we'll have a great time.
Okay. So you want to be more like now? Do you want to more so lead with an iron fist in a sense of like what I say goes? You're gonna do what I say. Under my roof, or do you gonna and it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a dick, but
Yeah.
more so just to say like, hey, if they mess up, they're terrified. Like they're like, "Oh, Dad cannot know."
Yeah.
Or do you want it to be more so where they can mess up, or they can come to you and be like, "Look, I just smoked weed for the first time, and I don't know what to do." And you be cool enough, like I guess, or like chilled enough to be like, "Oh, all right, man. Well, let's get you some water and, and a
Yeah.
bag of hot Cheetos, and let's figure this out."
I definitely be a mix of both. Not so much the iron fist, because obviously, it's proved to be not the best. Because then you have kids who are not telling you things, kids who are scared of you and won't come to you for certain situations that they might need help with.
Yeah.
On the flip coin, it's like I don't want to be too, what's the word? I can't think of the word at this current moment, but
like too like laid back or
laid back, yes. And so I think we like right in the middle, where it's like they know they messed up, they understand the rules,
Okay.
but in the same regards, I want them to still be comfortable enough to be like, "Hey, Dad,
Yeah.
I fucked up. Like this is pretty bad," or like they smoked weed. I'd be like, "Okay, listen, I might not necessarily believe in whatever it is, or I do believe in it, whatever it is, but repercussions, it's your choice. But at the end of the day, you have to kind of guide your own path. Be like, this, not so much I wanted my roof, but here's why this could be a problem, or this could help you." Things like that. Be informative and be a little brash. Now, we'll flip it to you.
I want to be like I want to be that dad that's like I want to be a very very similar to my dad.
Yeah, I love Keith, dude. Shout out Keith, man.
Yeah. He was a pretty good mixture.
Mhm.
And I think that when I'm a dad, I want to be the dad that's like my kids know that when I say something like it's serious.
Yeah, same.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, they can feel no matter what the circumstance, no matter what happens, they can still like come to me and be like, "Look,
Sure.
chips on the table. This happened,
Yeah.
or I did this, or whatever."
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we've all seen it. You got those dads out there, and like even those parents in general, where like the kids are like, "Oh my God, I just got a tattoo," or "Oh my God, I just crashed a car," "Oh my God," and they're like, "I can't tell my dad. I can't tell my mom. I can't tell. Like I can't." Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they do more stupid stuff to try to cover it up.
Yeah. Cover up's always worse than the crime.
Yeah. So I think I want to be that like dad that's like, you messed up, right?
Yeah.
But we can, and you're definitely grounded. But it doesn't mean I don't love you any less. I just want to,
Yeah.
this is why this is wrong. This is why like actions have consequence, that kind of thing.
And not to put out like some of your personal information, but I think you and your dad are the greatest showcase for why those kind of parents work.
Oh, thanks, man.
Well, I'm just being honest, and not to like put that out there for all you guys out there, but like if anything happens, even if something happens to me, I'm like, I might even go to Keith. You know what I'm saying? But I do think there is a problem when it comes to having that that dictatorship role, where it's like, maybe you bumped into someone's car, right? Okay, not the biggest deal in the world.
Yeah.
But now you're freaking out. You're, or even like if you get into a car crash, right? Maybe it was your fault, maybe it wasn't your fault. But if you're not going to tell your own father about it, it's like, well, what kind of father are you if they can't go to you in a time of need?
Yeah.
And if you're walking up to that wreck, not worried about your kid, your family, whatever it is, then there's a problem.
Yeah. Well, that's how I have a bunch of people I know out there that are just like, "Oh, I hate my parents. I hate my dad. I hate, whatever."
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, I'm as a man now. There's nothing that like I wouldn't do for if my dad asked. Like if he was like, "Look, listen, this is what we're gonna do. I need you to just go blow that guy's face off." I'd be like, "Dad,
Blow him
with with what kind of gun? No, but seriously, I'd be like, if he doesn't, there's some things, and he always taught me, like, if you see something that can be done, just do it. Don't um don't wait for somebody to ask you to do it.
Sure, yeah, it makes sense.
So as an adult now, it's like I have some things. Obviously, everyone has a little bit of areas of weakness or like flaws, obviously.
Yeah,
but I think like now as an adult, it's like I get it more so where it's like, oh, there's laundry to do, I'll just do it. Oh, there's dishes, I'll just do them. Like because, and then my thing is also like, oh, I ate the last bag of Doritos, I'm gonna go get more. You know what I mean? Like there's always that like I know, and this is even like this is just me and him. It was just me and him forever. So like we know each other like the back of our hands. So I just know like okay, and I want to be like that kind of a dad where like my kid knows me to where they could be like when they're an adult, they're not like feeling the ground out like what can I joke with him about? What can I, you know what I mean?
And I want to be able to have like a relationship like that.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of people that I know that, for whatever reason, will not talk to them, or it's like, I don't know, they're just like I want nothing to do with them. Like they were awful to me, whatever. And now it's like sitting there on Christmas, and they're hanging out with their friends, or they're going on escapades, and it's like, yeah, I wouldn't want that.
No, and that's the other thing too is because like this is how you kind of know like the benchmark of like being raised right versus not being raised right.
Yeah.
So like many people make mistakes as children, and then they really have no idea why they messed up. Like they understand they messed up, and like people are mad at them, but they don't really get it. Every time I messed up, I knew exactly what I was doing. Like kids do stupid stuff all the time. Like I knew that when shit hit the fan with whatever I was doing, I knew exactly where I went wrong, how I could have avoided it, and I knew once me and my dad were going to talk about it, I just knew. Like I was like, this is all on me,
Yeah.
I wasn't like, what do you mean? Like,
and not many people, especially even at our age, at 23, 24, it's like
I am 25.
25. That's right, June. Yeah. Yeah, it's not many people understand that. Like they'll go, let's say, I don't know, they fell on the stairs.
Yeah.
Oh, the contractor, like it's everyone else's fault but theirs. But if they don't have a father figure like that, to be like, no, dude, you messed up. You should have not have been running down those steps, and then you fall.
That's also the other thing I want to say is like, many people have that like defense first mode where they're like, oh, it wasn't my fault because of this X, Y, and Z. But I think when you have like somebody that does stand up and take the blame for things, like it's like, all right, you know what, I messed up. When they do say something like, dude, there was no way, like what, you know what I mean, like like. The contractor's fault, for not making the stairs right. It has a little bit more weight, a little bit more like oomph to what they say, because how many times like, I'll see at work, like on many jobs I worked at, and like something happens and it's like, well, if X, Y, and Z, if X didn't do this, and I'm like, bro, you messed up. Like just
own it.
Just say that, and it's unfortunately the case with a lot of people. They just can't accept the fact that it's their fault. Like they messed up. You know what I mean?
And honestly, sometimes too, and like this will probably just dispense upon my kids, where it's like, dude, more people will respect you if you just go, you know what, I messed up, my fault, end quote.
Yeah. Period.
Because the thing is like sometimes like okay, let's say you drop something or whatever. Someone's on the floor that someone left, right? But you could have seen it, whatever it is. And instead of just blaming like two other people and it's a whole big thing, you just go, dude, I'm sorry. Let me go fix this.
Yeah.
It's done. Yeah. But then people go, oh, it's getting fixed. It's done. You handled it. Whatever.
Yeah.
And
then it's up for the other person to be a big enough person to be like, okay, it's getting fixed.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so let me ask you this: what do you think? What age do you think you would need to become a good, like a actually good parent?
That's a hard question. Me being 23, almost 24 now, I think honestly, dude, like maybe 30, 32. I mean, obviously, you and I both know I fucked up a lot in my day, but the thing is like,
and in your night.
But it's like one of those things where I feel like you and me were always consistently learning on everything. Look at this podcast, for example. Look where we started. You know, And I feel like 30 is a good time where it's like you're out of your 20s, you're done being dumb, you kind of have an established walk with you. And I think 30 is where you're going to be like, okay, what if I was younger, if I'm in my 20s? Because if, you're having a kid at 21, by the time they're 9, you're 30 now. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, what do you think? What do you think is a good age?
I mean, I would say probably around 30,
Yeah.
30 something, I think because a lot of it is got to deal with the fact of like, you know, the way I look at it, I saw this on Twitter a year ago, where it was like, when you hit 21, your age basically like kind of resets. Like you might be 21, but this is also you're still like in infancy as an adult.
Yeah, it's 20. Isn't it 25? Your
Yeah.
frontal lobe is, yeah.
Yeah. So like I think if I was if I was to be a dad by like 30 maximum, like 32 maybe, that's prime time. Because at that point I plan to have like my future kind of set, or like being set up still.
Sure.
And kind of have like an idea of like, okay, this is really who I am, because I think that's a really crucial factor in being a good parent. Is you really have to understand who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And then how to, because if you don't understand who you are and what makes you tick, and how can you tell your son to be the best version of himself? Like, you're going to be giving him the same things you think.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
So that's what I want to do, is like I want to figure out, really break down and get to the point where I'm like 100% set up and 100% like in the clear with like emotions and
Yeah.
like whatever,
Hey,
whatever.
real quick, which one? Jackson. Did someone call me?
No. Or maybe. I mean, Ben called me.
I hate that I did that to you. I'm sorry. You remember where you are?
Yeah.
Okay. I caught it, and I just wanted to fuck up the video, but it did not. So.
You really. I didn't see anything pop up. But yeah, I don't see a way where, like, think about it. If you take yourself now and your girlfriend comes to you now and says, "Hey, I'm pregnant. We're gonna have a kid." Or you feel like you're not ready, right? Like you're not there. And
Yeah.
But you got to think about why. You might have the money. You might have the time. But then you got to think about it, like, just out of like money and everything else. Could you, if somebody were to just, "Hey man, can you watch my dog for a couple months? Hey man, could you watch my bird? Could you watch, like,
Yeah.
would you be able to really take care of a pet? Like, really want to take care of a pet?"
Yeah.
And not to say like your kid's your pet, but it's the same way you did in like 7th grade. Watch the egg.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think, maybe like early 30s is where I might be able to say like, okay, I finally have a good enough grip on life that I can bestow my life onward, I guess.
Yeah.
And then go from there. But
And it's weird too, because it's like the cost of living has skyrocketed.
dude, that's bad.
So the problem is like, to where even if, say, we started at 22, 23, whatever it is, like right now, they grow up, they're old enough, they're gonna learn, like truly learning.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not so bad, but the issue is like the amount of money that I do make at this point isn't too bad. So it's also like, at what life can I truly give my kid at this state?
Yeah.
Which is also the kind of issue where it's like I have to be like, all right, well, there's this and this and this. And it's like, not only do I have to worry about what I am going to bestow upon my child,
Mm-hmm.
what can I give him or her?
Yeah.
That's also a thought.
Yeah. Because you don't want to, like, you don't want to make it all, like, you don't want to be like, "Oh, I can't have a kid because I'm not a millionaire." But, it is a real fear, like a real thought, where you're like, if I do end up having a kid, am I going to have to, struggle to put clothes on their back, put food in their stomachs?
Yeah.
I mean, how hard? But that's what it divides a lot of men, is men see that and they get scared and they run away sometimes. Whereas somebody like myself, not trying to put myself on a pedestal or anything, but just saying like the way I think about it, is to say, okay, how am I going to do this? Like, this is what I'm going to have to do. How is it going to get done? Because it will get done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, it's
Yeah.
just a different mindset.
And I think that's also why you see a lot of like fathers like dip out
Oh
too.
yeah. But that's why you got to give a lot of credit to the dads that really do stick around and provide, for their kids, because it just as easily could have been like, oh, you like you're pregnant, see ya, and then you're gone, and it's just one of those things.
Just like the wind,
Kansas, man.
Yeah, dude. I just at the end of the day, the world of the current state. It's going to be interesting to see, especially honestly in the next year.
Yeah.
So much has happened in the last 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
And I feel like even putting a kid in this state at the current status of America or just in the world, it's a terrifying experience. Plus, it's also like gas is like $3.70 right now.
Yeah.
So it's like if
there's
that's
one gas station near my house, it's $4.
that's and things like that. It's like you have to factor all that in. It's like this is how much gas is, and a house, an apartment, a crib. But I mean, how I really want them to grow up at the end is to be able to look someone in the eye and be like, you know what, that's my fault, or look someone in the eye and be like, you know what, I'm gonna do better, and then do it, because how many relationships are they gonna have?
Yeah.
To where it's like they have to be like, you know what, this is something I have to do, and you want to have a relationship with your kids. So there's sorry, I don't mean to take up all the airspace, but there's a really good quote. It's the parent you are dictates the grandparent you are, or the grandparent you're gonna be. So it's like if you spoil your kids, you're gonna raise your grandkids.
Yeah,
But if you
raise your kids, you'll spoil your grandkids.
Exactly. There's things like that too.
Yeah.
So look at it how you want.
So now that brings us to the other point, is like, in being a good father, like I feel like you got to really be able to find like, a right partner, to really sit down and be able to say, okay, maybe being with you is really fun, but maybe you're not in the best place right now to start a family, or vice versa. Maybe it's like, you know what, we might be going through some tough times, but I know you're going to be a great mom, and I know you're going to be a great wife. Like, we're gonna make this work.
Yeah.
And I think that far too often people just go, oh, like dude, I remember being in like 6th, 7th grade watching those documentaries about like the 18-year-olds having kids.
Oh.
And to me, it's like,
yes.
Okay, 18-year-olds, whatever, they got some stuff, figured out, whatever. They're 18
You
now.
think they're 18? They're
And then I hit 18. I'm like, oh, like, because you don't have anything figured out. You have nothing. Like you just graduated school like high school, where like every day you was regimented. Get here this time, eat this time, go home this time, go to bed this time. And now you go, and then maybe a lot of people go right into college because, one, they're like, I need to get this education for my master's or whatever. But some people really do go to college because they can't give up that time.
They're regimented line.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people go into the military, or they're more acclimated to go into the military because they're very used to that. Like, okay, wake up at 7, wake up, do this. So, I just can't. I mean, I can imagine being a young parent, but
see, that's one of the things that I want to instill in my kids, where it's like, when you're 18, don't look at it as like, because and like these kids are free, they got it all figured out.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, there is nothing more real than grabbing that diploma and going, fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's like when you're in 6th grade,
It's like the first day after you graduate, you're like walking around your house aimlessly. All right.
Yep.
This was my house. It looks like at 10 a.m.
Yeah. And that's one of those things where it's like, listen, it's gonna be okay if you don't have it figured out, but let's find a plan. Let's get this down.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's just so much stuff, and I just, what does scare me is just the political climate currently. I'm not gonna get too political, obviously, but it's just like, I don't want them to get caught up and all that. Be like, listen, that is politics. That is the internet. You feel the table in front of you? That's real.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on reality.
Well, I also think there's always going to be like forever. There's going to be political drama and government bullshit happening. But I also think, like I said, I'm not going to be a fool and say, well, I hope everyone can fucking kumbaya in 10 years. No, but I do want to say, like, I really hope that things are a little bit more calm, like just in daily life, and like things like some people that are way smarter than me can figure out a way to kind of mend the bridge, the bridges and because the rate where we're going now is it's just going downhill. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, where you stand, what you think, it's like we might be on different sides of the bus, but we're all going downhill.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. You are little Jimmy.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. I said Jimmy. Little Gavin. Right. You're in 6th grade. No, let's say 4th grade.
Okay.
What kind of parent would you hope to see yourself being when you're older?
As a 4th grader?
Okay. We'll change the subject. We'll change the question. All right. What kind of parent, as a 6th grader, would have liked to have had at that time? Even though you have like a really perfect dad.
I wish I was if me in sixth grade. I would have wished that at that point I would have wished that my parents got along. That's what I would have wanted.
Yeah,
because they did not. So. I really would have wanted them to get along. Because it was difficult, man. I mean, not to get too emotional or like sappy, but like it's difficult. Like you hear your
trust
friends
me, I get it.
Oh, my mom and dad, and for me it's like my mom or my dad. Like I met my moms, I met my dads, So in 6th grade, I would have liked to see them get along, and be cool and whatever.
Kumbaya, my lord. I might say things that you may not support.
But yeah. So, but like I said, like I think as a parent, like I both of my parents gave me very valuable lessons on how to go about life.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I think just as a man, I think my dad gave me like some of the most crucial advice, or like some of the most crucial way of going about things, just by how he acts and like how he acted. Because like he always makes the joke, oh, like his dad could have bailed.
Yeah.
But really, like he could have bailed.
Yeah.
He had me. You know what I mean? So it's like, imagine me growing up with my messed up legs and being like a angry, fat. Well, I mean, I'm fat, but like, I'm fat.
Listen, we can fix that.
We can fix that.
Couple steroids.
Creatine. You like creatine?
You like creatine? I like creatine.
I know you like creatine.
You like protein? I like protein.
But yeah, so I think for me, when I have a son, when I really do, I do want a kid. I do want kids, but I would prefer a son right now. To kind of really just grow, like help grow up and be like, you know what, this is the mistakes that I made. Let's help you not make them. This is where I fell short. Let's get you there.
Yeah.
And
yeah, dude, that's great. And I think a lot of kids nowadays kind of need that. And I feel that it's mostly like, hey, Jimmy, you know what? You stole the cookie from the cookie jar. Shame on you. But enjoy your iPad.
Yeah, no.
I just...
Oh, you're crying? Here's an iPad. Shut up.
And don't take this the wrong way, but I do think there is something to be said about smacking a kid on the butt.
Mm-hmm.
Pennsylvania, it is legal. It's open-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Ask me how I know.
Well, that's the other thing is I think getting a smacking like on the if it's on the ass, and you're being a bad kid. When I got whooped, it's like very rarely did I get whooped, because like my dad whooped me. I'm like, oh, all right, that
you knew it was serious then. Exactly.
Not doing that again, But like if if obviously you can't go around punching your kid in the face.
No, fuck
and, like,
no,
throwing them around the house and being
no.
and like locking them in rooms and closets and stuff. But like
That's actual child abuse.
that's what I'm saying. Or in like some people make the argument, oh, hitting your kid with an object is child abuse.
Oh man,
I think
grew up.
I think growing up back in the day, like way back in the day, things were just different.
Yeah.
You had to be a tougher human, like just a tougher person in society. Nowadays, I think people are looking back on it and saying, well, I have trauma because of how you raised me. You used to smack me when I grabbed a cookie as a 5-year-old and whack.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, there is something to be said for that. Like, okay, it's a little bit borderline abuse.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you shouldn't remove getting your ass smacked at all, like getting whooped at all.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, it's terrifying as a child to get whooped, but it's not going to, like, as long as you're not like taking a baseball bat to them,
Yeah.
you're not going to physically harm them in a way that's like their ass going to hurt. But like,
well, look at it this way too. It's like, bad Gavin, no phone for you,
yeah,
bro.
I'll just play on my iPad.
No, you know what I'm saying?
I've got
but
a PS5.
but it's just like not even so much smacking, but like there has to be an understanding of like, okay, you stole the cookie from the cookie jar, even though you said it wasn't you.
It was a good cookie.
It was an Oreo mint.
Yeah, I'm taking 3.
But it's like there has to be an understanding of like, you messed up, Jimmy.
This is the consequence.
This is the consequences. Because I feel like all too often, it's bad, and then you just pull out your phone and watch TikTok for the next 6 hours, or you don't do your homework.
I've seen that like almost every time I'm in public. Like you'll see like at a restaurant, kids screaming, and the mom's just like handing the phone, or the dad just handing the phone to the kid, and
Like,
they're watching fucking whatever on the phone, and then
JoJo Siwa, yeah, I don't know why I said JoJo. I love. She actually has pretty good content. So I don't know, but regardless, it's just in the iPad kids that will never happen. If you're going out to dinner, you're gonna be. I don't care if you go to a bar. I don't care if you go to a really nice place.
yeah.
This is how you act.
Well, you remember being a kid and seeing a kid freaking out, and you see the dad stand up and just grip the kid up by the back of the shirt and just march his ass outside. I remember seeing that.
Tell me if you ever got this. But Dad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Yeah.
Or like the back of your hair.
I used to get. Listen, my dad would get mad. He would put his hands when I started like was saying something. He'd put his mouth up, like his finger up to his mouth, and he started doing that. I knew I better stop talking because he was getting way too angry. I think the scary. I'm definitely doing this as a dad. Be home by 7:00. Okay, Dad. 8:15, creeping in the house. Flick. Where were you? Oh my God! When I used to come home, and the TV would be off, and there would be like a couple lights on in the house, and I just see him sitting, waiting.
He's patiently waiting.
Reading a book. I walk in. He just calmly puts the book down, looks at me.
Where were you?
Where were you at? What happened? What time is it? Oh God! You just get so you're just standing there it's like, can I just sink into the floor right now?
Yeah, dude.
Can I just fast forward? I remember.
But see, you understood. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
RKO you, bro.
What?
I used to think as a kid I want to skip to like 5 months from now. You know what I mean? Like everything's forgotten. You know. But
and then you got grounded. No, I was just gonna say but you understood that this. I'm sure it happened once or twice more. Yeah, but it's also but you understood. Like you went.
I'm a moron.
You're a moron. Yeah, you understand. Like this is wrong. Whether or not you kept doing it because you're a kid, it's just gonna happen. Like that's just, and I think that's what's so special about your dad is like he understands it's gonna happen again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like you knew this is no one else's fault. It's not Jeremy's fault because he wanted to play an extra song off of his rap playlist or whatever. And it's just like,
well, if he did that though, that would be his fault then.
Yeah, because sicko mode is pretty cool.
listen to that hippity hoppity.
But yeah, I just think I think the biggest thing is like, hey, do you understand why you messed up?
Yeah.
Cool. Punishment, reconciliation.
Yeah.
Hasta el fin.
Hasta luego.
Paco, baño. But anything else we wanna?
No, man. I think we pretty much hit the nail on the top of the noggin.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, like, I think this is a pretty good, stuttering in silence.
Hey.
Welcome. But I do think this. Oh God.
Oh man, this guy needs to recharge.
I do think this is a good topic for like everything in today's culture and the climate, because, whether dads are not there, they're not doing the proper job. Just raise your kids, man.
Yeah. Raise them. You raise me
up. So what? All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you next time.
And remember,
be a good bean sprout.